Hi guys, it's Miss Simon. So I wanted to make the video today to help you guys out with your science. Remember yesterday we talked, well, actually not yesterday, but Monday we started talking about photosynthesis in plants. So just like animals and humans get energy from something called cellular respiration, we talked about how plants get energy from something called photosynthesis, okay? And just like cellular respiration, photosynthesis had an equation as well. So if we think back, remember, for photosynthesis to happen, plants need sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water, and that ends up equaling sugar and oxygen. Okay, so let's I'll share my screen and we'll review that quickly, and then we'll move on for today. So here's your equation that you looked at. Carbon dioxide and water equals sugar and oxygen, okay? But if you look at this equation, you notice that sunlight is not included in that equation, okay? And we know it's an important part, but we're gonna learn why today it is not included in the equation. So remember, photosynthesis is carbon dioxide plus water equals sugar plus oxygen, which you should already have down in your notes. All right, moving on. Okay. So now we're going to discuss, well, why isn't sunlight, because sunlight is needed, obviously, for photosynthesis to happen. So why isn't it included in the equation? Well, we can think of it like this. Sunlight is sort of like an oven used to make a cake. It's part of the process, but not an ingredient, okay? Therefore, it's not added in the equation, but it is mentioned, okay? So go ahead and let's put that down in our notes. Sunlight and photosynthesis. And sunlight is sort of like an oven used to make a cake. It's part of the process, but not an ingredient. So we can kind of think of this as, if you think about making a cake, okay, you have all these ingredients that you put in before you can make a cake. You have flour, you have sugar, you have milk, you have eggs. But without the oven, you wouldn't even be able to make this cake at all. So we can kind of think of sunlight as kind of like an oven, because without the sun, photosynthesis wouldn't even happen. Okay. Without the sun, you wouldn't even need the carbon dioxide or the water because the process would not happen. So even though sunlight is not a part of the equation, it is the most important thing, because without sunlight, photosynthesis would not happen. Just like without an oven, the cake would not even be made. Okay. So we can kind of think of that as, what would happen to a plant without sunlight? Well, without sunlight, photosynthesis would not even occur. All right, moving on. Chloroplasts. Go ahead and add that in your notes, please. Chloroplasts. All right, so plants have special structures in the cells in their leaves called chloroplasts. So chloroplasts are in plants' leaves. The chloroplasts use chemicals called chlorophyll to collect light. So let's go ahead and add that. Plants have a special structure in the cells in their leaves called chloroplast. So the actual structure that is in the leaf is called a chloroplast. And that actual chloroplast uses chlorophyll to collect light. So the chloroplast is that structure. The chemical they use to collect light is that chlorophyll. Okay. And we can kind of think of it as, well, what color do you think chlorophyll is? Okay, if we think of grass, okay, that's kind of a major hint. What color do you think chlorophyll is? If you said green, you are correct. So photosynthesis and the seasons, okay? And we can think of it as, but our grass isn't always green. Our leaves always aren't green. So what does that mean? Okay. And this kind of goes along with the seasons. So let's add this in our notes. Photosynthesis and the seasons. So since plants rely so heavily on sunlight, in the fall, we know if we think about fall time and winter time, there's not enough sunlight to be collected. So the chloroplast and the chlorophyll, it stops working, okay? How can you tell this by looking at a tree? What happens to all of the leaves in fall time? Okay, if you notice, they turn different colors. They turn really pretty colors like orange and red and brown. Okay, that's because the chlorophyll is not working, the plant has to use other chemicals to try and survive. Okay, so those other chemicals that you see in the fall time is the plant itself trying to survive. That's why you see reds, orange, browns. Okay, so go ahead and write this down. In the fall, not enough sunlight is collected and the chlorophyll stops working. And the plant uses other chemicals which are different colors like red, brown, and orange. Okay, so the green isn't going to come out because there's not enough sunlight for the chlorophyll to work. So the plant tries to stay alive by using other chemicals which cause it to turn different colors. All right, remember, if you need to pause the video at any time, you can write that down. Make sure you do. All right, why is sunlight not part of the photosynthesis equation? It is not used, it is used, but it isn't important. It is used, but is not mixed into the recipe. It is added into the equation. If you said C, you are correct. It is used, obviously, it's one of the most important things for the process to even happen, but it's not an ingredient. It's not mixed into the recipe. All right, so just like we talked about with animals, plants are going to use the sugars formed during photosynthesis as an energy source, okay? So just like animals use cellular respiration, they use that energy to grow and to move and for body repair and warmth. What do we think plants use energy for? What do you think plants use energy for? Think of two things that plants use energy for. All right, so question 13, what are the main sources of materials for photosynthesis? So what are the things that you need? What are those ingredients that go into photosynthesis? Air and water, soil and water, or air and soil? Well, if we think, okay, well, we need carbon dioxide and water, so that is going to be which of those? You said A, you are correct, air and water. All right, guys. Well, that is it for today. So remember, photosynthesis is the process in which plants are getting their energy, okay? And even though sunlight is not included, it's kind of like an oven and baking a cake. It is very, very important, but it's not included in the recipe because without the sunlight, the whole process wouldn't even happen. And also, plants have things in them called chloroplasts, where they use chlorophyll to make their leaves green. In the fall and the winter, the chlorophyll stops working because there's no sunlight. So that's where you get those really pretty colors of the oranges, the reds, the browns. Okay. Hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.